Hey everybody, welcome back to Keeping It Real with Tiff and Carl. I'm Carl Rabun, and we are wrapping up our time here at the California CalWORKs Training Academy for 2025 here in Sacramento at the DoubleTree Hotel. Tiff and I have been busy all week, running around, wearing different hats. We've taught classes, we've held plenary sessions with discussions, and we've been holding court with folks. When I walked in, Tiff had five people just wrapped in her attention. So, which is what always happens when she's around. So, tell me what are some of your takeaways from the conference?
So first and foremost, I love the theme of this conference. It's all about resiliency and looking for a culture shift in CalWORK. What we're really looking to do is to change the way that we approach relationships with the people that we serve. Um, and I'm hoping that this also includes a bit of the way we change our relationships with the state and the counties, like how we all work together for this common goal. I think sometimes what happens, especially in government or any other type, it becomes like an us versus them. There's a very, very strong message from the top here that we need to shift what we do and how we do it in a way that's bold and disruptive to the system. My hope is that it makes its way back to the counties and really shifts like the people doing the work. Am I optimistic? Not yet, but the message was very strong and clear here that they're really looking to make it easier, not easy, not just easier for the clients, but easier for the people as well to be able to do this work. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's very important. That if you're changing the narrative, if you're changing how your mindset's going to have, because as you mentioned in a few different places here, that we've had about 12 different changes in the last 15 years, right? But this is it's not a new approach because it's centered on the person you're actually helping, which is novel, but not that novel, shouldn't be that novel. But at the same time, it really has been reinforced in the messaging and in how we are approaching things with our audiences, right? Like we said yesterday, when we told the parents, we had a parent uh, uh, panel.
Parent voices.
Yeah, we hosted a parent voices panel that hopefully you'll get to see. But we told them, hey, look, this is your opportunity to tell those folks in the audience who will work with you what you expect from them, rather than them always telling you what they expect from you, which is really a 180 in service provision. And if everyone can buy into that, I think we are on the road to success.
The challenge here, though, the challenge, of course, is that on a federal level, the government's going in quite opposite direction. They're becoming very punitive, very compliance based, creating more barriers for people in need to get assistance. And California is basically like, we're not doing that. We're going to go the other direction. The good news is that California historically has been about 15 to 20 years ahead of the rest of the country in terms of like social support networks and the ability to support its people. This is why California is such a popular state. And I know people like, oh, California is so expensive. Well, it's expensive, but it's expensive to make sure that the people we take care of people and we make sure that people have the services that they need to live healthy, happy lives. And so it's always going to come at a cost, but there's a cost of not doing it as well. And that's people are hungry and homeless and, unhealthy and don't have access to health care. And that's not something that is in our purpose. Our purpose is to take care of each other.
Yeah, and on the first day we kicked off the institute or the academy
Yeah.
with a panel that was run by leaders from CDSS plus the Secretary of State, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Kim Johnson. And I don't know about you, but I was pretty, I don't want to say inspired because she always inspires me. Yeah. But I was emboldened. And she really encouraged everyone to think about, what it is that we're doing, the initiatives that we're trying. And that, she said, our governor and hopefully our future president, I don't know about you, but Gavin Newsom,
As I call him.
he told his cabinet, no one's going to get fired for trying something new.
Yeah.
Or taking a chance.
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity for us to be able to strike while iron's hot, to really benefit our clients, our constituents. I mean, who are we doing this for unless, it's for them? I mean, there's other ways to make a paycheck.
No, the message I got is go in and break shit, and
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. China in a bull shop, or wait, bull. Get it right, but you know,
That's staying in here.
yeah, that's what I meant. But yeah, and I really love it, and you know, I'm all about disrupting systems, especially systems that don't serve anybody. You know, why we exist as programs, CalWORKs, CalFresh, Medi-Cal, is to really give people support in a moment of need. And it's not intended to, nor is it a lifetime, right? These are not always lifetime programs. There are some people that they're lifetime programs because there's no other options. They're disabled, they're elderly, they have maybe high needs in their home. We have exceptions, but for the most part, this is a period in people's time, a safety net for when they need it, and that's how most of the people use it. It's temporary. And if we're saying like pay into these systems, because we all pay taxes here, right? We all pay taxes, we all contribute. A lot of the people that are in our services have jobs, right? They're working, and so when they're in need and they come and they can't access it, then you can see how that builds frustration. It's really not a good system if it's not working for the people. And I'm ready for it to work for the people.
I hear you. I was just thinking about it in the shower today. I mean, those of us who sit in judgment of clients that we serve, you can sit in judgment if you want. If you've never been late to work,
Right.
not once for any legitimate reason. Never worried about how you're going to make your rent, or maybe, get a late notice for your rent,
Right.
or, get close to running out of gas, or just losing your, being frustrated and saying something you wish you didn't say. If you've walked on water that way, you can sit in judgment. But until then, you know, we all have issues, and we all have just different levels of issues. We started off in different places where our issues maybe are managed a little easier. And it's just, give folks a chance. Everybody on that panel yesterday was working, had goals, had dreams, all said that the last thing that they wanted to do was to be on aid, and educated, perceptive, and very well spoken. And just, they were a great credit that represented the vast majority of the folks that we serve in this state, and they should definitely be appreciated.
Only that, when I think about like, who uses our services, it's our neighbors, our family members, the people our kids go to school with.
Yeah.
It could be us. Like I think most people in all of the country are just a couple of paychecks from needing some assistance. With this economy, um, you never know what can change, right? I mean, I remember during like, I had never, ever, ever in the history of ever been on unemployment in my entire life. Never. I've always had a job since I was like 14, 15 years old. And when the pandemic hit, our job was the first to go, right? Because we do in-person group trainings. And so from one day to the next, my whole livelihood was gone. And I had to apply for unemployment. And I know about unemployment. I knew about it. I've been sending people there for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a crazy experience. And so, like, you never know what can change in your life. You never know what can change in your economy. Um, we have to stop stigmatizing. Is that a good word?
That's a good word for you.
Stigmatizing. I make up words all the time. But yes, but we have to take away the stigma of people receiving assistance, because that's exactly what it is. It's assistance, and we have to help each other, and not because I might need it some other day, which could be true, but we help others because it's the right thing to do. We should expect nothing in return except for the gift of knowing that you have helped somebody else's life better.
Can I tell you, I still have my unemployment card with Yosemite on it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I just keep it on my
just in case.
just in case, but then also to remind me, it's just a great reminder. We're all, you know, a once in a lifetime event away from something happening, or a sick parent, or the sick spouse, or a sick dog,
Sick
right?
dog.
I have four of them. Goodness gracious, right? So just thinking about that. That's really such an important thing. I hope that everyone in the classes right now that are breaking up right now, we're going to have to get up there and do our closing rigmarole.
Yeah, we gotta go because these classes are about to get. We're doing hallway podcasts right now.
That's right.
Hallway podcasts.
That's right. So yeah, we'll be back. We're gonna keep taping, and we got some stuff to share with you over the holidays, and some announcements that's coming up. We're gonna be on a podcast too. So looking forward to seeing you all at the end of this year and the beginning of next. So
Yeah.
Tiff,
Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real fast because we gotta go.
all right. Take care, everyone.
Very fancy yogurt, oatmeal, top-notch cuisine.
Which continent, we're not sure, but it's all right.
It was great. It was great. I appreciate the fresh fruit, let me tell you. I appreciated that. That was my favorite part. So we want to say thank you so much for choosing this session, using the coach approach in empowering our clients. That's not what it says up there, but that's what I meant. So my name's Tiffany Salcido, and this is my
Hype man, Carl Rabun, yes.
Yes.
I'm the Flavor Flav of the joint.
And I wanted to just tell you a little bit about this course before we get started. So I've worked in case management for a really long time, almost since the 1900s. I like to use that phrase. It's been a really long time. And I realized, without knowing it, that I use the coach approach a lot. And I don't know if you all know, but I started as a county worker because someone told me county workers didn't do anything, and I thought, bet, right? That sounds amazing. I found out that was a scam, but either way, because it's a lot of work. But as a person who, I like to do good quality work, but I don't like to work any harder than I have to, I'm always looking for efficiencies, and what's the easiest way, the best way that I can get the work done and get it done well without putting too much effort into it, because I have a lot of work to do. And so the coach approach is one of those ways where you can shift the way that you work. You still are doing high quality work, even better work, but you don't have to do all of the heavy lifting. And it puts clients in a position to be able to build capacity and to build skills and to build confidence. And that means that they get out of our programs even faster, which is what we're hoping for. And so as we look at the coach approach, I will say that we're not asking you to be professional coaches. That takes a lot of work and a lot of hours. Carl and I are both professional coaches on the side. Call me, have your people call me. But I will say a lot of the philosophies that come with being a professional coach work well with case management. And if I could give you like just the quick and dirty of what a good coach does, they ask a lot of open-ended questions. And so as we look at how we approach casework, we're looking at changing the experience. We're going to do far less telling and a lot more asking and putting people in a position to think for themselves. It's not about holding people accountable. It's about holding people capable. Holding people capable. Okay. So that's what we're going to work on today. Are you so excited? Yes. Best session you've had all morning? Yeah. All right, perfect. All right. So let's talk about what we'll be learning today. We are doing this as efficiently as possible because we only have an hour and a half. This is something we can do over several days because it's intensive. So just keep in mind that we're doing this very, very surface level, just to give you the basics. But it is something that you have to practice, learn, and develop. It doesn't come naturally all of the time. It does require some effort. Today, one of the things we'll be doing is defining what the coach approach is and describing how it's going to empower clients and keep us as workers from burnout. This job is not easy. I want to just acknowledge it right now. This is not easy work. We're dealing with people who are in crisis and trauma. They have very significant needs. We're also working uphill because, let's just face it, we haven't always had a good relationship with the people that we serve as a system. And so there's a lot of complexity to what we do. And so by changing our stance, right, I can't change anything about anyone else, but if I can change the way that I engage with people, it's going to just make my job that much easier. And it's going to lead to better outcomes, which changes everything. We're going to also talk about drama. Anybody love drama? Hold on. Anybody love other people's drama? Oh, yes. I always say I'm down with OPP, other people's problems, every day. I'm all about that. So we'll talk about the drama triangle and how the drama triangle kind of makes its way into our systems and how we can choose something different and stay out of the drama and really get into empowerment where people can make good choices. We're also going to look at shifting some of our strategies from a rescuer. A rescuer is part of the drama triangle. It's someone who's trying to save everybody, which, by the way, is exhausting. And unless you're a lifeguard or a firefighter, you're just kind of wasting your energy. We're not going to rescue people, but we're going to coach them to solve their own challenges. And we'll practice some of the strategies to do that. We're also going to practice using, asking powerful questions that support reflection, accountability, and critical thinking. When we talk about using the coach approach, like I mentioned before, it's really a lot of open-ended questions, and specifically, it's a lot of what and how. We're going to ask very few why questions. Can anybody guess why we wouldn't ask people why? Yes. It could trigger them. When people say, why did you do that? What's your instinct?
I don't know.
Yeah, I have to defend myself. I did it because I had to, right? So why questions are not necessarily effective. They can be. I'm not going to say never ever, but they're going to be very seldom. We're going to say, what did you hope would happen? What outcome were you seeking? What could you do differently this time around? How could you approach this in a different way? So these are the types of questions we're asking. Lastly, we're going to use the coach approach to build more engaging, client-centered case management relationships. Relationships is going to be key. And I know that right now we have a lot more work than we have time, and I just want to acknowledge that it's rough on these streets. You know what I mean? Like we can acknowledge that. But two things can be true at the same time. We can say that we have a lot of work. We can say that we're busy, and we can still make time for, and I'm saying make time. You'll never find time to build relationships. You have to make time to build those relationships. And even if it's not like a, hi, Amanda, let's hold hands and kumbaya. Tell me your childhood traumas. I want to get to know you better type of relationships. But we as a collective can build a relationship with people so that they can come in and talk to anybody and feel safe and comforted. It doesn't have to be individual. So that's what the coach approach is going to do. I'm so excited about it. And so we're going to start. I'm going to pass that to you. I want to just share real quick before we get in the kind of the structure here, because when we are looking at adapting and changing, there's a few things that we need to adapt and change. One of the first things is always going to be our mindset. So if I can't change the circumstances, can I change the way I think about it, right? Can I look at it from a different perspective? Can I adopt another vantage point that will give me some additional insight? So we're going to work on what a coach's mindset looks like. The other thing that we can always shift is our skill set. I don't know how to do everything, right? I don't know how to do a lot of things, but I can learn almost anything. So if I'm willing to put in the time, energy, and effort, then I can develop new skills. The same is going to be true for our families. If we're asking them to develop new skills that lead to employment, how about you first? How are you willing to develop those skills that are going to make you a better case manager? The last thing that I want us to always work on is our tool set. And that is our list of resources, our connections, our network. Where can we go to when we need support? That's a huge piece of self-sufficiency, is that people have a wide network of people and places that they can go to when they need support. We have to build that as well. So being at a conference like this is a great opportunity to build your tool set, not just with information and all of the great handouts and workshops that are provided, but also look around the room. Look around and look at somebody you've never met before. These are people who can be part of your tool set because, again, we're 58 different counties, not including all of our tribes. And if we're not all in the same boat, because some people have different resources, different outcomes, different things happening in their areas. We're not in the same boat, but we're definitely going through the same storm. And so if we can connect with each other, right? Just because it's happening in the state of California and it's happening in your county, you're not doing it all by yourself. There's 57 other counties that are experiencing the same thing. So how do we connect with each other and build that tool set? That's my passionate plea for you today. Sorry, Carl.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
So along with the 58 counties, there's also tribes in your counties as well, and that's definitely an important thing. One of the things we do every year is the Tribal TANF Institute, where we get together with all the TANF programs, the tribal TANF programs in the state and across the country, actually. 50 different tribal TANF agencies over 14 states usually. So just having that conversation, connecting folks, right? Connecting to your services, their services, time clocks, getting, connected and engaged. Stephanie's smiling and nodding her head right now. Yeah, she's like, yes, Carl, preach, right? But yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, just with your neighbors, so a partner, or if it's a three, the three of you, just give yourself a minute to think about what is your definition of a coach? What does a coach do? In your experience, right? What is your experience with a coach, right? What are their behaviors? Just with your partner, right? Just spend a minute.
A few minutes later.
Okay, time's up. Sorry. That's why I said grab a partner. We only have an hour and a half. If this was a full day class, you guys could talk all day, right? So, did anybody have a definition they wouldn't mind sharing? What's something that you guys talked about? Anybody? Wow, the room got quiet all of a sudden. Yeah, thank you. I got my pedometers. I'm getting my steps into.
Good morning. We talked about the idea that a coach encourages, they educate, they build people up, they do things to get them to the next level, provide resource.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anybody else? Oh.
I think a coach is a facilitator of potential and shining a light on potential and fostering the maximum expression of that potential.
Love that. Anybody else? Oh, we could just stay right here. That's cool.
I think a coach you have to build a good relationship with, and you have to be able to trust and communicate in order for it to work.
Very cool. So what'd you hear? Trust, communication, facilitation, knowledge. Yeah. Support. Being a great listener. Investment. Trust.
Giving positive energy.
Positive energy. Okay.
Being responsive to individual needs.
Being responsive to individual needs. Okay, yeah, that's definitely important. Oh, yeah.
We also talked about holding accountable.
Bless you.
Holding accountability.
Holding people accountable. Okay. My experience with a coach before I became a coach was, I played baseball all the way into college and then coached for 10 years after that. And my idea of a coach, you've had some coaches that are, rah, you can do this. Come on, get up, rub some dirt on it. It's not hard, right? Walk it off. Those type of things. Anybody experience that type of coach? Right? And that's good in sometimes, right? In some situations, right? Some people, that's what they knew, right? But thinking about what it is that a coach professionally, a coach in our profession and what we do, it's a little different. I mean, you could rah somebody till the cows come home, but if their bus doesn't show up on time, right? Or if their power goes out, right? Or if one of their kids are sick, I thought I told you to get here no matter what. Oh yeah. Yeah, how often does that work, right? So when we're talking about a coaching mindset here, some of these behaviors, being open-minded, right? How many people all followed each other into, took the same exact path to this room today, right? I drove in I live here in Sac, so I drove in. Some people got out of their room, went to go get something to eat. Some people came straight here. Some people came here, dropped their stuff down, went to get some water or take a bio break, whatever it is, right? We all have different paths to the same place. But our brains want us to think that our way, there's one way. And when somebody does something that's different, it's very hard right off the bat for our brains to accept that as normal. Our brains want homeostasis. We want to predict behavior. Right? So when we interact with somebody who is not walking those steps that we took, that can have a differential response. And just even a response like, how would you feel if you were telling somebody your story and they went, right? Just a little bit. What's that word that comes up when you see this or that? Judgment. Thank you. Right? We were talking about that yesterday. What's the number one fear in America? Public speaking. Right? But what's behind the public speaking? Why are we afraid to speak publicly? We don't want to be judged that we're not good public speakers, right? Yeah, absolutely. And so, how many clients do you have that walk through the door with preconceived notion of what you think about them already. And why is that? Because what do they hear out in the community? What do you hear on the radio, on TV? Somebody pulling out ABT card at a grocery store, right? So what do they think you guys are going to do? Right? I was in a county training that'll go nameless because I think there's some people from that county here today. And they mentioned that they were having lunch with a friend, and one of their friends said, hey, let me ask you a question. You work with the worst people in the county. All right, so she said that freely in a cafe, and not that big of a town, right? I used to work at Kern County. I was stationed in a little town called Mojave, if anybody's know Mojave. It's on the way to Vegas, right? Or on the way to Mammoth, right? Yeah. So, but whatever it is, everybody knows each other there. Everybody knows each other in Mojave or California City or Rosamond or Tehachapi, right? So, how easy is it for someone to have a label, even if they don't even know you're on aid? You might be one of that family that went to high school they didn't get along with, right? Just think about all that judgment that's coming in. So that open-mindedness is something that is intentional. Our brain does not want to be open-minded. Our brain wants to predict behavior. We want to make assumptions, right? So to have that intentional curiosity, being open-minded is so important. Being curious, right? Rather than telling somebody this is the way to do it, what works for you? What's your story? How have you gotten here? What has worked for you in the past? These are all coaching questions, right? The why. Well, walk me through what happened. Tell me about your story. Tell me your journey here, right? As opposed to why are you here? Like I said, what's that response our brain goes? Brain goes in a limbic hijack, right? Or amygdala hijack. I don't know. We put our hands up. This is a defensive position, right? Or we start talking fast or making up stuff or getting, well, I'll tell you, why are you here, right? Starts challenges. So to be flexible, non-judgmental, and to be client-centered, right? And that's a huge part of the new legislation, the new policies, the new software that's being used, to be client-centered, to ask questions of the client. How many people have thought of their clients as subject matter experts? Who do you think knows more about the client's life when they're not meeting with you? You or the client? Right? So telling a client, well, even if you were on aid, I had a coworker that was on aid, and none of the clients trusted her, liked her, because she would, I got here, you could do it too. If you don't, it's just because you're lazy. Yeah. So they would come, I don't like my worker. I said, okay, I know which one it is, but that's okay. Well, hopefully that doesn't mean you don't like me, but do you think that could add to a trust issue with me as their CalWORKs Welfare to Work case manager, right? So that's definitely an important thing, right? To be open-minded, curious, non-judgmental, flexible, and client-centered. So just with your partner this time, because we're going to cut you off, just think about that. How do you currently practice the coaching mindset? Anything up there show up? Anything that we talked about? What's something that you feel is a strength? And what's something that you'd like to work on to improve? Right, so just with your partner, just go ahead and do that for a couple minutes and we'll come back.
A few minutes later.
That we get to talk about ourselves. We can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. So we're gonna let what happened at your table stay at your table for the sake of time. But this is a great opportunity for self-reflection on our own mindset, because we might think we think a certain way, but we're habitual. As human beings, we love habits. We oftentimes go through most of our life on autopilot, whether we know it or not. And so in doing the work, you've probably been doing the work for a while, and you've got your system, and you've got your way of doing things, and you do that as a way of preserving energy on a very unconscious level. And so changing our mindset does require some time, effort, and energy. And so we really have to pay attention to, am I being open-minded, or have I already decided what I think the right thing is? You know, am I being judgmental because I would have done it a different way, and how dare them have their own thoughts and ideas? Who do they think they are? Obviously, my way is the right way. Am I being curious, or am I being judgmental? right? Am I asking questions because I want to know, or am I leading people down a path that I think they should go on to? And so it requires some metacognition, which is just a fancy way of saying you have to think about your thinking. So you have to be intentional. Like, what is it that I'm thinking? Why am I thinking this way? What brought me here? And how could I potentially do it differently? And so this is all about building relationships. The more that we can honor other people and their experiences, and can I be honest, we give a lot of advice that we would never follow ourselves. I'm just, humanity as a whole. I don't know you all individually, but I'm just saying, as humans, we love to tell other people what they should do, but we're not doing that. That's for them, not for us. And so I have, with all the love in my heart, say, worry about yourself, right? And help lead people to find their own conclusions. And here's the other part of it, my friends. You have zero control over what anybody else does. And as soon as you let go of the idea that you potentially have any control over somebody else's choices, that's when you really get to experience freedom. I cannot choose what anybody else does. I can offer them resources, I can offer services, I can tell them what's available, I can help them navigate, but what people do with their life is completely up to them. And guess what? They also get to own the consequences of their choices. It's also not for you either. Okay, so when we can let go of that control and we can be open-minded and kind of coach people through their own thought process, that's when the real transformation begins. All right, so let's talk about drama. You all ready for some drama? Ooh. So this is what we call the drama triangle. By we, I'm just making up a bunch of people. Karpman is the researcher that developed the drama triangle. And the drama triangle is a way of describing a dynamic that occurs that's very, very reactive and very, very rooted in emotion. And so the drama triangle is exactly what it sounds like. There's some drama that happens. I don't know if you all know this, but we waste about 2.5 hours a day in drama, every day, per person. And if you add that up over a year, that's 816 hours of lost productivity per person every year. That's almost 20 weeks of work. And we're always like, oh my gosh, we work so hard. We've got so much work and so little time. If we could give you an extra 20 weeks of freedom, what could you get accomplished? And when I talk about drama, it's not like we see on a novela, right? We're not slapping each other in the hallways in fabulous outfits. I mean, maybe in your counties, invite me. I'd like to go. But it's more the drama that we're talking about is like things like blaming, moaning, whining, complaining, scorekeeping, tattling, judging, venting, all of these things. All of these are emotionally expensive behaviors that basically give us nothing in return. It's just lost time. I like to call them the BMW behaviors, blaming, moaning, and whining. It's a different B word, but I'm not saying it. Okay, so when we talk about these, you don't need 3 people for the drama triangle. It's not 3 people, it's just 3 roles. And any person can be in any one of these roles in the same sentence. You can go from one to the next in one conversation. And if you don't believe me, I'll give you my mom's phone number. You can call her. So when we talk about the drama triangle, it's almost always centered on a victim mentality. And so I want to be very conscious when I say this. You don't have to have any real victimization for a victim to exist. The victim is a person who feels like they have been wronged. There's some kind of pain or pressure that is upon them that they feel helpless and hopeless. That's the emotion, but it's not their fault. It's somebody else's fault. And so they take no responsibility for it. How it could be, and it doesn't even have to be another person, by the way. Like the victim can be victimized by their circumstances. They can be victimized by poverty. It could be a person, but it can also be something else. So in this dynamic, the persecutor is the person that the victim blames for their pain and suffering. And again, the persecutor doesn't have to be a person, but it can be. But that is the source of their pain. So the victim is pointing the finger at the persecutor to blame them for their suffering. And the persecutor, if it's a person, is always like, not my fault, it's your fault. If you were doing what you were supposed to be doing, then you wouldn't be in your position. All sassy like that. That's a persecutor stance, okay?
So the persecutor, again, doesn't have to do any actual persecution. It is just that they are at the mercy of those circumstances. And so they're feeling blame as well. The persecutor is not saying, it's not my fault. The persecutor says it's your fault. All right? The rescuer is the third dynamic in this triangle. And the rescuer is the person who says, it's nobody's fault. I'll fix it. I'll be the hero. Some people call the rescuer the enabler. There's all kinds of words that we can use for the rescuer. But the rescuer is again, oftentimes coming from a good place because they want to help. But their helping hurts because it does nothing to empower the victim. It keeps the victim a victim. Now, I don't know, I'm trying to be younger these days because I understand like the people working in our industry are not as old as I am. So I'm going to give you a meme. Is that what they're called? Is that memes? Does that sound right? A meme? But have you seen the Spider-Man meme where everybody's pointing at each other like this?
I thought that was a GIF.
A GIF? I don't know, whatever it is. It's the little picture cartoon.
It's a meme, I'm sorry.
So that is what the drama triangle is. Everybody's pointing at the next person. And so who's taking accountability for anything? Nobody. It's just a blame, 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 blame. Oh gosh, poor pity us. And all of these roles, by the way, are some form of victim, right? Because the victim is saying, oh my gosh, poor pitiful me. I'll give you a really good example for workloads. Anybody suffering from high workloads, more work? Okay. So the victim says, I'm doing my best dramatization. Oh my God, I don't know how we're supposed to do all of this work. I have 7,647 cases that I have to do before lunchtime today. And I spent all morning working on this one case because they changed the rules and regulations and I didn't have time to go through my emails. You know, I got 47 emails before breakfast this morning. And oh my gosh, my manager just doesn't understand how hard I'm working. And then they said, we're going to have ice cream social. Don't they know I am lactose intolerant? Okay. They did this on purpose to ruin my life, right? And so who are we blaming? We're blaming the manager, we're blaming the caseloads, whatever it is, how unfair this is. And management, and not your managers, but from a place far, far away are going, God, if these people would just do their work, what are they complaining about? Like I've tried to make it so simple for them. What are we supposed to do with those cases? We can't hire enough people because it's a toxic workplace because all these people do is complain all the time. And someone's like, oh my God, yeah, it's so unfair. I'm so sorry that you're suffering. Do you want to go to happy hour after work tonight? Drama, drama, drama. Now look, I'm on the outside eating popcorn saying this is delightful. I love this. But can you agree this is exhausting?
Tiff, can I give a quick example too?
Oh, sure.
This
Drama.
is one person who has all three of these. I'd love to be able to go to training, but I can't because I'm putting out the fires of my staff because they're not properly trained. I wish I could. All three. Mm-hmm. You don't need three people. There's just three roles, and this person is giving you all three.
Absolutely. So we get stuck in this drama triangle, and our goal here is to be able to recognize when we're in it. Because by the way, if you see somebody else in the drama triangle, I just want you to know you're there too. Okay? Because a victim can't exist without a persecutor. A persecutor can't exist without a rescuer. A rescuer can't exist without a victim. So we're all kind of feeding into this drama. And again, it's reactive. It's our first instinct, but it's a waste of time. So would you all like to get some time back? Okay, we're going to give you an alternative. I don't have a slide for it, so take your notes, use your imagination. We're going to move the victim from a victim to a creator. We'll tell you what that looks like here in a moment, okay? The victim is going to move to a creator. So instead of being at the mercy of the circumstances, instead of saying it's not my fault, the victim says, what can I do with what I have? We're not waiting for perfect circumstances. We're creating our own destiny, given our reality. A persecutor moves from a persecutor who's putting people down and challenging people in an aggressive way to being a challenger where I have to get courageous. I start to talk to people instead of talking about them. I have fierce conversations. And then the rescuer becomes the coach, which is why we put this in this class. Because instead of us rescuing, which by the way is helping professionals, can I burst your bubble right now? Most of you are rescuers. and you rescue, and then you turn into a persecutor or a victim. I do so much, and nobody appreciates it. See how quickly we can switch roles? I've done so much for you. If you would only just pick it up and whatever. So we want to get out of this. The rescuer becomes the coach. And so this is where we can shift our role. We don't want victims. We don't want to be persecutors. We absolutely don't want to be rescuers. Okay? So we're going to practice on how to shift these roles. I'm going to pass it back to Carl now so he can tell you what it looks like when we are in victim mode.
Okay, so we have the slide set up for two different facets, right? So victim behaviors, you'll see from the client. The system is rigged against me. No matter what I do, I'll never get ahead, right? I can't fill out these forms. They're too confusing. Why can't someone just do it for me? I had a client one time tell me, why can't you just give me my money and leave me alone? And I said, I wish I could. Make my job so much easier, right? Yeah. But so, if you've ever heard those from the client, but remember, this isn't just about stop being a victim. Coach might tell you, my old baseball coach might tell me that, but that's not being a coach, right? From the case manager, I have too many clients, not enough resources, nothing I can do to help them succeed, right? These policies tie my hands, I can't make a difference. We used to have, the supportive service. We used to have this class. The junior college doesn't have this anymore. We don't have that professional, college here anymore. They closed up. And it might be absolutely true. All right, but just think about it. If we're talking about that with our coworkers, how often does that bleed off into the conversations we're having with clients? And how often are clients hearing us say what we can't do as opposed to what we can do, right? And in Mindfulness at Work for Dummies, there's 10 tips, right? The 9th tip is accept what you cannot change, right? And if you can accept what you cannot change, hey, this is what we have. If I was king and this is my kingdom, things might be different, but this is what we have. How can we make this work for you and your family? We've helped other people get there with this. What can we do with you? Talk to me about if any of these things interest you, right? Which is the creator, right? What do you want? Right? What can you do with what you have? Right? What's one step you can take right now? Sometimes people think success is all the way up here, when very often, success might just be getting to an appointment or a calling on time. Right? And how often do we celebrate? Can we celebrate people being on time? How often do we celebrate people being on time? That's the question. Well, they're supposed to be here. Okay, cool. But they're here. All right, I was just reading something from our friend Adam Black on, is that his name, Adam Black? No?
Our friend is Adam Grant.
Adam Grant, thank you. So it's Tiff's friend. I just met him. But Adam Grant said, being there, dependability is half the battle, right? It's more important than your skill set. You can have great skills and not be dependable, right? You can train people on skill sets. Sometimes getting people on time is something that's maybe a little more inherent or something we really have to intentionally develop, right? How are you currently responding to this situation? How might you approach the situation differently next time, right? As opposed to, so did you learn any lessons? Right? What could you do next time? That is a forward-looking question rather than staying in the past, right? A lot of times we stay in the past. We're trying to therapize our clients, right? Tell me about what happened in the past, and what we have resources for that. That's great. But as case managers, being a coach, one thing Tiffany and I both learned in our coaching, we went to coaching school. Yes, we did. And that the difference between therapy and coaching is that therapy identifies things in the past and tries to heal them. Coaching identifies things in the past that are keeping you from being able to move forward, and how do we manage moving forward while at the same time acknowledging that those things exist. It's a difference, isn't it? Right? So that's what a creator does. A creator really is creating capacity. creating an environment to allow somebody to feel comfortable with us, to be vulnerable, to really take some chances, to say things that maybe they've never said. But, well, I'd like to be a nurse. Why can't they say that at home? Nurse, please, you barely got out of high school. You skinned your knee and you passed out. You think you like blood, right? And those might be coming from people who you love more than anybody else in the world, right? So how do we help people feel comfortable saying those things with the fear of judgment? And Tiff's going to talk about the next section.
Well, I'm going to add on to this a little bit. I think language is important here as well because remember the victim mentality. And I don't want to just sit here and say that the victim is just our clients. I want us to be real clear. Many times in the drama triangle, it's us. We're feeling very restricted by our resources. And I just want to acknowledge some reality here. We're never going to be fully resourced. We're never going to be fully staffed. We're never going to have everything we would like to have to make everything magical. And so if we're waiting for our perfect circumstances, you're just going to be disappointed except for every single day. And so this is true for our clients as well. If they're waiting for us to do everything for them, they're also going to be disappointed except for every single day. This is not our goal, is to do everything for everybody. It's to help people build capacity so they can navigate through a very complicated life. And this means us as well. We have to be willing to do the same. So I think that language is really, really important. And a lot of times people will use their circumstances as reasons why they can't be successful. That's a victim mentality. And so what I like to do is use the words, given that, insert whatever the reason is, what can you do? Given that you're taking the bus, how could you create your schedule to allow you to get to places on time? Given that we're not going to hire anybody for the next 2 years, what can we do with the people that we have here to make this manageable? Given that we have a budget shortfall and this is all we're going to be able to do, what can we do to support the community? Do you see how we're not fighting reality? We can acknowledge that reality exists. We don't have to love it, by the way. You do not have to love it. But it's still the circumstances that you have to succeed in. And so we have to be able to acknowledge it. If we're just wishing for it to be different, you're wasting your energy because we have to acknowledge what is and not be a victim to it. But this is where we get to be creative and create what we can with what we have.